this video, we're going to look at creating interactive infographics for our dashboards. We're actually starting on the drill down sheet, which is a second dashboard Rowan has created to allow users to drill down and get more detail on a particular region. He would like to create another small multiple, this time showing a series of column charts that indicate trends for our top 5 countries in terms of capacity. Rowan would like to create another small multiple, consisting of 5 small column charts that show the trends in renewable capacity for the top 5 countries. Creating 5 column charts, though, could be quite time-consuming. You may recall in the first week we had a look at a very quick way of creating multiple charts called a sparkline. But you're thinking, hang on a sec, sparklines have to fit inside a single cell. Well, usually yes, but we're going to look at how we can convert a sparkline to a graphic. To do this, we're going to need to go to our small multiples worksheet. So I'm going to right-click on my navigation button and I'm going to double-click small multiples. And we have a pivot table here, which is showing the trends from 2000 to 2019 for our top 5 countries for a selected region. We're going to start by selecting the data for the US, and then coming to our Insert tab, we're going to click Column Sparkline. Now it's asking us where we want to put it, and we want it to go into W5. So I'm just going to say OK. Let's change the color. So our color is going to be a light turquoise, and we're going to change our marker as well. So we're going to come to High Point and make that a light green. Now you may recall that we can use our fill handle to copy it down. And there are our 5 column charts. Too quick. All right, let's copy those. So I'm going to press Ctrl+C, and we're going to come back to our drill down. But here comes the important part. We're going to select a cell, but instead of just pasting, because that will put it in the cells, we're going to right-click, come to Paste Special, and we're going to choose the last option, which is Linked Picture. What this has done, and you can do this with any cells in Excel, is actually created an image linked back to the original sparklines. If they change, this will update. We're going to move them onto the tile now, and I'm just going to make that a little bit wider. Now let's see that interactive part. Rowan has created a slicer, and we're going to look at slicers more in the next video, but what they allow us to do is filter data. And this slicer is linked back to the small multiples pivot. So when we click on Asia, it filters the small multiples pivot table, and in turn that filters our sparklines, which we can see are changing. Fantastic. I'm going to clear that filter. And for the next one, I'm going to need you to come to the job sheet. Here we have a pivot table which is showing us the number of jobs available in different renewable energy source fields for a given year. Rowan has already created the pivot chart, but he'd actually like to see each source in the legend, which means he needs them to show as row labels. We're going to select our pivot chart, we're going to come to the Design tab, and we're going to switch row column data. Now something's gone a bit funny with our third series here, so I'm just going to select that third bar. We're going to come up to our format, and we're going to change the shape fill to our aqua. And while we're here, let's get rid of that line, that border. So I'm going to select the chart, and our shape outline is going to be no outline. So there's our finished chart, but instead of putting numbers on these bars, Rowan would like to represent every 200,000 jobs as a person. And we're going to do this with a really simple graphic. So this black box shows 25 people in a row, and they're basically transparent. So when I drag this onto my chart, make it a tiny bit wider, it looks like I'm seeing an infographic. And if I were to filter it to show 2017's data, you can see it immediately adjusts. So very simple, chart and graphic to create an infographic. Let's put those all on the dashboard. So I'm going to select once to select my actual graphic, hold my shift, select my chart, and we'll grab the key at the same time. And I'm going to copy, Control C, come back to the dashboard, and I'll just click on the right over here and paste. And then we can just move that all into place. And you might just need to adjust your key. Let's go and have a look at a last example. This time I need you to come to the investment sheet. And you may recall this was the pivot table we created to show the top 5 countries where there was renewable investment for a given year. Rowan has already created a very stylish looking pivot chart. By removing all the extraneous noise, you can actually focus on the key information. Rowan would like to make one more change though. Instead of having these kind of squared off edges, he would like it to look a bit different and be rounded. Now here's a very interesting thing. You can actually grab a shape, any shape, copy, Control C, click onto one of your columns or bars in your chart and paste, and it will replace it. The only problem is we're getting a much steeper curve on the bigger values, so it doesn't look great. So I'm going to undo that, and we're going to look at how we can fix that problem. What we really need to do is effectively split the bars into 2 sections so the top is always the same, and that way we can paste this just onto the top. And we're going to do exactly that by using calculated fields. So a little bit more revision. Clicking into our pivot table, we're going to come to Pivot Table Analyze, come to Fields, Items and Sets, and we're going to create a calculated field for the bottom part of the bar. So I'm going to call it Bottom. And it's going to be equal to the US dollar millions, but minus 800, because that's the amount we're going to put on top. And I'm going to say OK. Now, because this is a stacked column chart, it's put it on top. All right, let's add another one. Fields, Items and Sets, Calculated Field. This is going to be our top. And this is even easier. It's going to be 800. And I'm going to say OK. Now, it's looking a little odd at the moment, but let's go and add some data labels, and then we'll look at fixing it up. So I've clicked onto a bar. I'm going to hit my plus, and I'm going to turn on data labels. I'm going to select my labels, and I'm going to make a few changes. I'm going to drop the size down to 8. I'm going to change the font to white, and I'm going to change the fill to black. And then one other thing, Control 1. Let's actually position those at the inside end. All right, now let's go and actually fix up the chart itself. So selecting the bottom bar, which is our sum of US dollar millions, we actually don't want to see that in the chart. The temptation would be to remove it from the pivot, but you actually need that amount for your calculation of sum of bottom to work. So what we're going to do instead is hide it. And this is a 2-step operation. First of all, coming to our Format Data Series, we're going to come to Fill, and we're going to specify No Fill. And then on our border, we're going to specify No Line. It's kind of hidden, but you can still see it. Here's the other important step. We're going to come to our Design tab, change Chart Type, and we're going to put Sum of Bottom and Sum of Top on a secondary axis, effectively hiding our US dollar millions behind them. And when we say OK, we're getting there. Let's just hide that secondary axis because we don't actually want that. And now just a few little changes to color. So I'm going to select the bottom, come to Format, change our shape fill. We're just going for standard green here. And now comes the moment we've been looking forward to. I'm going to select my shape, Control C, click on the top series, and paste, Control V. And there's my finished infographic. When I filter it to see 2016 data, you can see it immediately adjusts. Right, let's pop that onto our dashboard. So Control C, back to our dashboard. And I'm just going to put that into position. You might need to resize slightly. So the dashboard is coming together very nicely, But at the moment, we have no way of interacting with these. And that's what we're going to look at when we add slices to this dashboard.